Welcome back. This is Hope Dawn. We are into the second hour, and this is where we have the segment where we have the conversation of the day and relationship resonance. It is, and we've been telling you, we began this conversation last week on Thursday. How do you connect with your children, with your child, with your children? As they're coming, especially for their holidays, already they are at home. If they are not at home, leo haitaisha, na ikipita leo, kesho I'm sure haitapita kesho. Weekend yote mtakuwa na wao now moving forward for the next couple of weeks. So have you prepared? Do you have a program of how you will keep them busy, of how you will be able to interact with them as well during these next 3 weeks? So how do you connect with your child, with your children, is the conversation we are having. And told you, if you missed part 1, you can get it on our YouTube channel from last week. And of course, you will be able to learn a thing or two. And then we continue with this week's conversation, still on the same, but now the second part. And any question you could be having, any query, we are here as well to help us to become better fathers, better mothers, better guardians as well. So do not hesitate. Hope TV Kenya, that's across all our social media platforms, on TikTok, on YouTube, on X, on Facebook. We are there. You can drop your comment there. Also, we are on text and also WhatsApp. The number 0708 222 323. Allow me to welcome our guest. She was here last week, and so sasa si guest sana, atakuwa mwenyeji. And so Paps is in studio. Good morning.
Good morning, Gigi.
How are you?
Good to be back and good to see you. I am fine.
It's good to have you back.
Yeah.
Lazima tungekuhave back because wazazi wanalia. Yeah, so they are wondering, hey, our watoto now, more than 2 weeks, what will I be doing with them and how will I keep them busy? And so we thought, why not have this conversation and continue from where we left it last week? But before we get into that, maybe someone is getting to watch us for the very first time and they are wondering, who is this Paps? So a brief introduction of yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Paps Wayugi. I'm a wellness and confidence life coach. And of course, I'm also a psychologist and I'm an author of 2 books. With Confidence, Get Your Ball Back, and Leading Generations, which is about mentoring 21st century preteens and teens in Africa. You can find those books on Nuria, the Nuria bookstore. And besides that, I'm married to James. This is our 13th year. We have 4 kiddos. Yeah, so we have a 24-year-old Jimmy, and Jose is 20, Crystal is 11, and Yaniv is 7. Yeah, and so watu wamekuja nyumbani kwetu.
Yeah.
And then Jemo is away, so I'm taking my own advice.
Yeah, you were telling us that he's away, so this period you are...
I'm solo parenting and
How is
staying
it?
on top of it. I think for me, I'd prepared.
Yeah.
So tumeanza kamukunji tayari. We are like, so what is your schedule?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like yesterday when I got home, I'm like, give me an account of your life. You know, what did you do with your day to day?
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course for us, we are also I will say a limited screen family. Where our children are very scheduled on screen time.
Okay.
And of course, we have alternatives as well. Yeah, so it's good. Yesterday, the older one came. Yeah, the high schooler, Karanja is in Kiambu High in Form 4. Yeah, so I'm just feeling like I have a co-parent for a while.
At least.
At least nilikuta dinner jana. I was grateful. Wow. Yeah, because we are also a nanny-free family. Yeah, we just did that intentionally from 2 months ago.
Okay.
They were just like, want to be more home, because when you don't have a nanny, you're forced to be home as well.
Yes, you must be at home.
Yeah, so like I said, in this season of slowing down, we are also doing such intentions of the kids coming home. We have to pick them up and do the evening together. And of course, also weekends, we have to take turns.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that forces you to be home somehow. Yeah.
Awesome. And we will be picking up from there because I feel that is very important. Some points there you have highlighted that are very critical. And actually I think we can start from there so that we don't lose that track. The aspect of intentionality, because listening to you, there is a lot of intentionality in what some of the decisions that you have made, slowing down, nanny-free family as well. You know, that sounds, it has to be as in, you're sure
of what you're doing.
Of what you're
doing.
But
we are nanny free, but we have a day bag. Let me clarify that. We just don't have a live-in.
Yes.
But we have a day bag who comes thrice a week. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday we are covered. And then the other days we sort ourselves out. So it's a bit of a temporary situation. But we've done that before. Actually, I think after COVID or during COVID, we still stayed nanny free for, was it 3 years? And of course that forces you to be home, forces you to take turns with the kids. Like I have to be rushing home by 4 or thereabout. And of course it's not practical for every family. This is just our experience and it has worked for us. And what that does, it makes you a bit more intentional with the kids. And then the buck stops with you. I've actually realized, especially myself, when I have support, I usually have a false comfort. Of, let me just stay 1 more hour. Tafuta chakula imeiva, someone is home. It's easy to call the nanny and you're like, yeah, by the way, I was supposed to do this, but do this for me. You know, and sometimes you find you over-delegate. In a way, you start becoming hands-free. And of course, you can also be home and then you're like, kona nani, nasikia wakichapa story. Let me just stay in the bedroom a bit more. You know, so I have caught myself in those moments many times. And like I said, it's just sensing or discerning what God is doing in this season and just zoning in a bit more. And it doesn't mean it will always be this way. Probably there will be other seasons of running fast and probably being away from home. But this is just the year of investing. I feel like we are in a planting season. So we just have to be really there.
There's a point of a delegation. And I think some of us are very, you know, we are culprits when it comes to the same. So that now, and that's where the issue of what will I be doing with these kids for the next 3 weeks. And we have delegated our responsibility. Our children, they are our responsibility, but we have delegated that so much to the teachers at school, in Sunday school, and all, so that now when even we have a challenge in church school, that they are not being taught about God and all these things, we are complaining and murmuring, yet we are the first people who should be inculcating these cultures in our children. How do we ensure we are deliberate? Because as you said, mi niko na nani. Why should I go home early? See, food will be ready. The nanny will do all everything, serve them, feed them, ensure they even, you know, some, they even take them to bed and sleep. What's the danger with that?
For me, first of all, I would say it's possible for our children to be more attached to other people than us because, like we said, the person who connects the most with the child has more influence over them. And you see, sometimes you'll think of nanny as temporary places. And I usually say there's still that achievement of having a nanny who stayed for 10 years. But I just imagine if there were not 10 years of good influence, in terms of probably they're the ones who are undoing what I'm trying to do with my children. The values they were sharing with my children were not matching. And of course, also how they show up with my kids. Some of them have abused children. And because we are like, she's good, my kids like her. Or him, nowadays there are also nannies who are guys. Okay, is that even a nanny? House boys. Okay, whatever that is.
Whatever the name.
But just that aspect. Actually, I have friends who have guys because they have boys. So they prefer to hire a guy to take care of the kiddos. And for me, it's just that aspect of, in terms of influence, first of all, do we have a briefing? For example, in our family, we have a briefing of what the nanny does. And we have a briefing of what only we do. For example, only we sign the diaries. Only we check the homework. Regardless of what time we come in. They can still do nowadays, our children are able to do the homework by themselves to a greater extent. But just that aspect of over-delegation is also discussing it as a family. For example, me and James will sit and say, what must we do for our children? We also ask our children, what must mommy do for you? Or what must daddy do for you? So that, or what must we do for you? So that is something important to you, something sacred. And then you're like, now that also becomes a non-negotiable. We need to first of all understand aspect of boundaries. And then we include all that briefing with the nanny. Whenever we are hiring, we have a schedule on what you do every day. And like in terms of the nanny. And of course also what the kids do for themselves. Because there's also that aspect of a nanny coming in and all of a sudden our children are irresponsible. Because they make the bed for them. They start doing even the things that our children are trained and enabled to do. The nanny takes over. And of course, the children are happy. They're like, yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead. Take all my chores. You are so sweet. And of course, there's also that aspect of appropriate connection with the nanny. Like what also are the boundaries on what they can discuss. Just having those conversations. It's just important because what you're doing is building intentionality in those spaces. Because you remember, you want your children to connect appropriately with everyone. The other thing is that nannies are also temporary.
They are.
You know, so to also remind our kids in terms of, they're our family member for now. But then if anything happens, you know, zero attachments. So that if you need to move on to another season, then you are willing to transition.
Yeah.
And when you think about that, then the building connection will be more intentional in a way. We still weave ourselves in. And I usually say there are some things that are mundane. Anybody can do them.
Yeah.
Those ones you delegate. But there are things that are relational, things that are values, things that are eternity. I usually think like it's better when I do those things myself.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
first of all, because all these temporary helps and support in my life, once they are gone, I'll still want to feel like we build something consistently through my life together with my kids.
Yeah.
In a way, one day when they leave home,
Yeah.
I actually had an influence and a voice over them, regardless of the fact that probably I didn't make every meal, I didn't do the laundry. Sometimes I usually think, do I remember that my mother did all the laundry? You know, and how she was staggering under the weight of them, akianika blanketi. You know, children do not remember such things.
No.
So sometimes those are good things to delegate.
Yeah.
Unless there's sometimes, like for now, we don't have a nanny. Sometimes on Saturday we'll do general cleaning together. And then it will be like, wewe unaosha mitungi, wewe unaosha chini ya vitanda, wewe unapanga bookshelf. You know, in a way you're doing it together, in a way it's connecting time.
Yeah.
We connect through house chores. Yeah, but the problem is when I am buried under the weight of the house chores, and then I don't have time to do the actual connecting.
Yeah.
Because that is what is most important. So every time I come home, I usually think like, how do I connect with my children without necessarily feeling like I am on chores that are taking me away from them?
Yeah.
And that is where now the help comes in terms of having a nanny is helpful because they take away the mundane so that I can do the specifics and the special moments, create memories, build moments together. Sometimes we'll still cook together. We will do all the chores together. I've actually have moments where my kids will come and sit on the floor of the kitchen with their homework as I cook. You know, and of course we are cooking together. There are sometimes we've prepared the meal together in terms of Yanni, who is 7, by then he was 6 or 5. He will be the one chopping the onions, and of course they will look some type of way that doesn't really look like onions, but we will cook them. We'll just like want to be grateful because it's also important to train your children to have life skills, including being able to take care of themselves, including cooking. You know, so that we're not raising premium children who don't know anything about the academia and probably even career later. But in terms of the house chores, they can't function. Because nowadays, there's also the gender deconstruction. You are not hoping that girls are the only ones who will be cooking.
No.
And boys are the ones who will be working. It's important that every child is functional and self-sufficient in a way. In every season, they can actually show up in a way that blesses even their future spouse. They can actually be more helpful than what is designated in terms of this is what I do, this is what you do. To just raise an all-round child. And so to also enable them in that way. And I think like, it's still good. The nanny can also teach them how to cook. But I just think like it can become one of the connecting moments. And during this holiday, even trying new recipes, we've made cookies that backfired somehow. You know?
It's part of the joy.
Yeah, and we ate them gratefully. Hakuna kitu tulitupa, by the way. Even the crumbs. We still ate everything, you know? And just doing that together. For me, it's just that part of being intentional that we are building memorable moments. And everything we are doing is building up towards connecting, including chores, including traveling, including just hanging out, including even screen time. You can use it to build connection instead of always feeling like it's a nightmare in our house.
And I like that in terms of the chores and using the same to connect with our children, because but it's what also you have said in terms of over delegating, so that now you change that narrative and the perception that I can use now these chores to be able to connect with the children. If it's washing the car, instead of going to the car wash.
Actually James washes the car with Yaniv a lot. You know, they'll just be going down with buckets and, you know, and scrubbers. Naenda kuosha gari usiku for some reason. You know, around 7. That is when they do the car. And you see, that is connecting time for them. And then me and Crystal are divying in the house. We're like, you guys go ahead. God bless you. I don't enjoy washing cars. Hey, my dad got us to wash cars for free when we were young Paka. I'm still recovering. I'd rather give James the 200 bob to go to the car wash. But sometimes we wash the car, all of us. Like there are times, I think like last Monday, the time we washed the car, all of us. So just different parts of the car. And it's just connecting time as well.
Connecting time. Because the goal is here. It's not cleaning the car.
No, the car is not the main point.
It's not the main point. The point here is that we are doing something as a family, collectively, you know, laughing. At that point also you can hear them ask some
also
questions.
Teaching a life skill. One day they might be broke and they need to wash their cars.
And they can, So
you're also teaching them life skills. And I think for me also, when you think about doing the chores together, it's also that aspect of building responsibility and also showing your children you also work. Because it's possible for you to teach them roles in family by showing them that daddy only sits there with a newspaper. So Yaniv grows up aspiring to also be a guy with a newspaper. And most of the guys even are very helpful as adults. It's because their dads demonstrated that. You know, in terms of their dads could cook, their dads, they didn't have this gender construction or just a negative gender roles in terms of women only do this, men only do this. And so you raise a fluid child who can also be adaptive, because your child may also live with other people. And those are some of the things that makes them pleasant to live with, because they can actually carry some weight. You know, even sending them, for example, abroad and they're being family hosted. The fact that they are useful, they will actually be a joy to the family that they stay with, you know?
For me, it was a tall order, but now when the children now started, I had to do some of these chores, you know, helping in the kitchen. Before singejaribu, but then again, I wanted to, you know, model and show them that isi kazi ya ladies only, mom or the girl. No, even boys, you can get into that kitchen and do these things. You can wash the house as well, because as you're saying, hawataenda tu wameoa. It's a process. It's a journey.
Yeah, that is true. And I think also just that aspect of reminding ourselves, as you are doing that, you're also teaching them honor. You know, in terms of also honoring one another. Sometimes we have children who are struggling with sibling rivalry. And until you teach them teamwork, which includes doing chores together, that aspect of togetherness, then we'll always have children who are individualized, selfish, self-obsessed. You know, we would have less fight on even things like screen when you are sharing, you know, probably like ya kuosha vyombo, you know, like it's like you are also instilling that. I've actually seen that with our children. The sibling rivalry is usually less when children have to work together, because it's part of life, you know, our life, our family life. And I think it's also that aspect of thinking of the shared responsibility in the house as that aspect of I'm also teaching my child, like, these are some of the ways you'll actually be able to love on someone. You remember, like, when we were talking about love languages of quality time, and of course also acts of service. Like sometimes you serve one another, which is actually a scripture. Like you serve one another because that's where you fulfill the law of Christ. So just to think, like, there are so many lessons that can be learned when we are also connecting of our household, and then we are also making choices on how we want our spaces to look like, and we are involved in them. Otherwise, when we for example, if all of us are over delegating everything in the house, then most of the times will actually be everyone is alone somewhere doing their own thing. In terms of, for example, everyone is on screen. You know, I'm on my laptop, the kids are on their tablets or on the screen, on the TV, because we feel like we are free. You know, but sometimes one of the ways to also build a screen-free family is do chores together. Because that gets you off. For us, we still have music. You know, we'll blast music and we are singing along as we work, which is still a nice way of, we worship together, we work together, and all those are actually things they will remember. You know.
There's something you mentioned about when the older one came and giving an account. What does that entail, and how should we, and how important is it, especially during the holidays, in terms of giving an account of the day, a breakdown of the day, so that they are also they have goals, they have you know, responsibilities that they feel, by the way, by the end of the day I will have to give an account. How important is it, and how can we as parents come up with one?
For us, it's actually been something we've built over time. By first of all understanding you can never tell kids not to be on screen if you don't have a plan. You know, much as we want to limit screen, or probably we are concerned about their level of consumption, it's also asking myself, am I providing alternatives? So for example, like Crystal, this holiday, she is making herself a pipe top. Have you ever heard of a pipe top? It's actually sewn. I also heard about the pipe top, you know, 2 weeks ago, and it became a project. So yesterday on my errands, I had to bring like 5 yarns, you know, Uzi, so that she can keep on building up a pipe top. So like right now, the front part is done. So now the project is the back part, and she wants to wear it, I think, by next week. You know. So when I see that self-drive, because I've realized she's sewing a lot. No, is it sewing? No, crocheting. It's actually crocheting. So she's crocheting a lot, like in terms of yesterday night, it's the last thing she did. In a way, actually seen her screen time has really diminished because she has a goal.
Because she wants to beat that deadline.
And then Jose is in Form 4, so he has a lot of homework, you know, in terms of his workload.
Yeah.
And then Yaniv, for very interesting reasons, he's taken into beadwork, you know. So he made me a bracelet. He even made one and sold to the teacher for 100 bob last week. You know, so he's a very proud of now of 100 bob. Baka when he sees you with 100 bob, he's like, is that mine?
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, relax. 100 bob is in a fanana.
Yeah, zinafanana. Yeah.
So there's just that aspect of him now feeling like, oh, this can actually earn me money. And not like, for example, he'll sell everything. He'll probably give away and probably just do them and undo and undo. Yeah. But then that is one of his engagements. And then the other thing we've done this time is also quality content, quality over quantity. So instead of just the binge watching of anything, we actually have structures.
Okay.
So for example, there's something called Devi and Goliath. And then it's a story of a dog and a boy. Of course, I've watched a bit of episodes to just see how it looks like. It's on Encourage TV Kids.
Yeah.
Encourage, TV Kids. And then we also have Superbook. I think Superbook has released a lot of episodes. So Crystal has done a lot of, I think part of their CRE lessons in school, they watch Superbook.
Okay.
So whenever we are watching Superbook, she's like, I've watched that one, I've watched that one, I've watched. So I was like, Yaniv, you need to catch up on everything.
Yeah.
So Yaniv has probably more privilege on screen time, but only on Superbook.
All right.
And for us, we've learned to come back home and audit what our kids have watched, even how much time they were online.
Okay.
Yeah, because we check out their history. I mean, they've not learned how to clear.
Yeah,
and it's not like we are hoping they won't,
Yeah.
but we're just hoping they will have integrity enough,
Yes.
you know, to just be able to regulate themselves. For example, the screen limit in our family is 2 hours a day.
A day.
Yeah, 2 hours a day. And if you overdo, probably you do 4 hours a day, then it means tomorrow you've already consumed
your hours.
your 2 hours a day. Like, we keep accounts, and everybody is self-regulated and disciplined enough to understand that. In terms of, we'll just come back and audit what you watched, audit where you went. The other thing about Screen Principle is encouraging children to produce, not just consume. In terms of, by being on screen, how are you producing? So for example, we've taught our kids how to use Canva, you know, so that they try to make graphics and stuff. And then also we've taught them how to edit things. Okay, we've not even taught them, I think they learned by themselves. So they've learned how to even take actual photos and edit them, and just tweak them and play with them. Yaniv loves cars, so even just trying to make short animations and stuff. There's a time Crystal was learning Scratch so that she can learn to do bits of coding.
Yeah.
So she's able to make her own games. And so just that aspect of, you produce more than you consume. We have no problem with consuming, but you also produce.
Yeah.
And part of what she's also doing, like for example, crocheting, it's because she has to learn in terms of, you have to watch the DIYs, and then you try to replicate. That means that you are consuming so that you can produce.
Yeah.
And of course, even art. Like, we've bought a lot of craft supplies, of course, planning to stock a bit more.
Yeah.
Like every holiday, we just make sure we provide alternatives. You know, board games and things, and sometimes we also do it together. And then also encouraging them to teach one another what they've learned. Crystal is also going for chess tournaments, so she has to practice, and of course that is screen time.
Yeah.
Because instead of practicing with an actual, just practicing with the computer, like the bots and everything, those automated chess, because she's going for the national chess tournaments on Saturday. So to also encourage her, can you spend at least an hour every day practicing chess? So of course that will involve screen time, sometimes a bit more than 2 hours, but then it's structured. But 2 hours is that time of just probably consuming, but then we are also keen on what is acceptable in our house. In terms of whatever you consume, the quality, we also audit that. Yeah, and the same applies to the older one. Of course, the older one loves watching action movies and stuff. Yeah, and for us, we also, the other thing we've done, we don't have paid TV. Yeah, like since we actually bought our TV when our daughter was 2, because she used to sneak out and go to watch TV in the neighbor's house. Like, we were screen-free family. And then we noticed, hey, ako wapi? Then unamkuta kwa neighbor, mpaka ako na chai. So like, tunachoma sasa. So we decided to buy a TV. So first of all, we got a small TV. What happened, backstory, when we were newly married, when we were dating, I was addicted to screen. So what would happen, tunaenda na James date, and then I'm like, aki sweetie, wacha tu ni watch hii peke yake. Hii huwa naifuata hii soap opera. Alafu sasa after 1 hour tutaendelea na story. So of course we'll talk in between breaks. He was very patient. So when we got married, we were just like, we will not have TV in our house. And then of course now later we got the small TV, but we don't pay anything. Like, we have Zuku in our house, but we don't plug in. So we just say we watch whatever is on screen. So for example, our children will wake up. Most of the mornings, there's always a cartoon.
Yeah.
But that cartoon will only last for 1
Yes,
or
yeah.
2 hours. After that, una flip, unaboeka. And then the remote broke down, we didn't replace it. Sasa wanafinyanga hivi. So they also got tired. But when Yaniv goes to other people's house, he's like, yeah, we should buy a big TV which has a remote.
A remote, yes.
Like, bro. So I think that has helped us to consciously not have a dedicated place and time of like unlimited screen time, because there is really nothing much to watch.
Yes.
So sometimes you'll even be bored, you switch on the TV, unakuta hakuna kitu, and then you switch off and go back to something else. And of course we have laptops, but also we now have scheduled time when you can use them. So just having that has helped us to still enhance. And then of course there's also, you remember when we were talking about you create times of togetherness in terms of it's us and them, it's also them. Like for example, how does Crystal bond with Yaniv? So they have things they do together. And of course the three of them. And then there's me and them. Like Friday is our movie night. Like every Friday we have movie night, and then Saturday we also have movie night and massage. And then we just lay a massage pale ambako unaitanga watu customer. Hey, customer uko na pesa ngapi? Okay, of course we've also been just doing it to dramatize a bit and business and just to teach them a bit of business skills, even on costing. There's a time they will even give you vouchers and you'll have to pay for their services. You know, we just create an experience. And all this is just to build skills, build negotiation skills, and just entrepreneurial mindset. And of course, the other time is now the quality time. So just having those times in terms of also building family traditions and rituals so that they know what to expect on which days is still part of it.
I love those, what you have said, family traditions, you know, and cultures. Because growing up, even us, we had, but then again, either we are deviating away or pressures of the society, so that now we are not creating our own cultures and practices, which is quite unfortunate. Let's touch on expectations and reality. Because there are those expectations that both parties, the parents and the children, could have. How do we manage the disappointments, and how now do we come the unrealistic expectations? Because you see, children are wild, and maybe it's because of maybe the way we have also brought them up, the way we have shown them things. How do we strike a balance?
I think in terms of expectations, first of all, it's important to create expectations. First of all, even for them to expect that I'll be home more because they are home. So like one of the things that Crystal is always asking, when are you staying home? When are you home the whole day? When are you home and not working? You know?
So that you can be at home but working.
That is true. In a way, you're really home, but you're not home. And then, of course, also having that expectation of what should they expect. You know, just preempt that. For example, are we going swimming every week? Is there a coaching program or a mentorship program or a DVBS that we are going to this holiday? Like in terms of let them know what to expect. And what this leads to is I need to plan before. I just feel like in our family for the past 2 years, we've managed to create a bit of structures and systems of knowing what to expect on holidays. For example, like I think August, that is when you have your DVBS.
Yes.
For SITA.
Yes.
But at least we've included that in our schedules. And of course also ICC. My sister is a pastor there, so whenever they have DVBS, we also include that in our schedule. Of course, it's a stretch. Like I remember James handling like 8 children in his, you know, in his fielder. Amepeleka watoto ICC, drop them by 7, and then of course he has to go and pick them up at noon and shuttle them. And it means that week I build into that because I'm also building that expectation. And then of course the other thing about expectation is to ask ourselves, what do we want to achieve? Because there has to be a goal in mind in terms of what do we want to achieve this holiday. For example, this is Easter. So how can we, for example, focus more on the cross? You know, on the benefits of Jesus in our lives? Should we probably even have a prayer retreat where we go to a prayer center and stay there together the whole day? And then I usually say, even when you're creating expectations and probably building structures, of course, a schedule helps. So for example, for us, we've scheduled a bit this holiday to just know like this is what will happen this week, this is when we'll be available, this is when I'll probably be like, for example, when James said he's away this week, then I have to be more at home. So that means that if I have to go somewhere, I have to build in going with the kids. So like on Monday I had a dermatologist appointment. I went with the kids to the doctor. You know, and you actually remember it was a rainy morning. We were on an Uber, and then we went there, and then of course later we went to hang out with a friend because that friend wanted me to hang out with her. Because that is her available day, and then I was like, I'll come with the kids. She was like, it's fine.
Yeah.
And so to just build it in. And then the other days to also figure out, like, Wednesday I go to see my mom. So I was like, I'm going to go with you. They were like, we don't want to go. I was like, okay, tell me how you will plan your day without me.
Yeah.
Of course, the older one was home. The day bag was home. So that was a bit easy to plan around.
Yeah.
But the important thing is to just, first of all, have a plan and then plan deviation in terms of it may not work.
Yeah.
Things may not go the way we had planned. And the other thing about planning, every time you're creating expectations, just remember there's a budget.
Oh, yes.
There's a budget on it. So everybody should think about, this is what you want to do, this is how much it will cost. Like you count the cost before. Even for example, right now, planning the other holidays like August, ask yourself how much do we want to invest in our children in August?
Yeah.
And then also December, how much do we want to invest?
Yeah.
So that every time there's actually an expectation. And in terms of even children to know when to expect to have a vacation.
Oh, yeah.
When to expect probably to even go up country, if that is something within your schedule. Like plan everything so that there, first of all, there are no surprises and resentment, especially older children. Older children I would actually think involve them. Just tell them these are the things we do. For example, they may feel like, oh, I don't want to go to Ushago. There's no screen time. There's no technology. You are like, well, Ushago is still on the list. When do you want to go? You see, you're still involving them in the decision making in terms of preference, so that there is that mental preparation. That during this time, this is what we will do.
Yeah.
But I just feel like in terms of expectations, first of all, everybody should communicate the expectation. And that is why last week I said family meetings are important. Just meet and preempt everything in terms of this is what everything looks like. For example, for us, we planned in December. That is when we planned everything we will do this year. So for example, like I owe Crystal a crab. Yeah, mwenye anaweza nishikia crab mahali. Yeah, but she wants to go and eat out.
Yeah.
She wants to go and eat out a crab. Yeah, so I've already seen Ocean Basket and other places and Mawimbi seafood. So I'm still trying to gather the courage of spending 10,000 between me and her. Yeah, I know it's not a lot of money, but at the same time, it's still something.
A lot,
yeah. So when it comes to the aspect of expectation, set the expectation, count the cost, budget around it, and then now work on an execution plan. In terms of, for example, we have goals together and together and together. So, for example, if me and James have our coffee, that will still cost money. And then James and Yaniv, they want to go doing the go-kart.
Yeah.
Go-karting, that will still be a budget. Me and Crystal with our crab situation, we still need to budget. So that everything comes actually with budget. In a way, we are trusting God to be able to do this. And then deviations. We may have emergencies and you're not able to do these things. Are we still able to communicate, even to carry them forward to next year? Yeah, but I just believe that, like, when you have expectations, talk. When there's disappointment, debrief. Like in terms of you had promised this, you didn't do.
Yeah.
But don't let your children come and stay home and then they don't know what to hope for. Because sometimes that is what usually creates deviation, deviance, rebellion. Yeah, because there is no, there are no rules to play by.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Connecting with your child, that is the conversation we are having this morning, and Paps is breaking it down for us so that as they come, already they are there, you can be able now to see how do we set these goals and how do we involve even the children as well in as far as the holidays and connecting, how you connect with them is concerned. Any question you could be having, any clarity you could be sorting and seeking rather, you can talk to us 0708 222 323. That's on text and also on WhatsApp. And we are coming back after this short commercial break so that we continue with this conversation. A lot I know that you are asking, so bring them on. We will try and answer them as we continue with the show. See you in a short while.
Rafiki soul is the promise of a hand that reaches and goes beyond what angaza tumaini kote. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru ukarimu,
Friends of Hope, keeping hope alive. Men on Record.
Do your children know that you love them? Not by what you buy for them. Do they hear it from you? Emotional abuse. It's a silent killer that we don't talk about. Asking yourself those very relevant questions. What kind of father do I want to be?
Yeah.
When I'm getting married, what kind of husband do I want to be?
It's a conversation about men for men.
And remember this.
To revisit, reveal, and heal issues among men.
Good evening, Men on Record. Why should I talk or say much when all I want is peace, not problems?
Let's set the record straight. Men on Record, Fridays at 7 p.m. live, exclusively on Hope TV and Hope FM. Men on Record, it's a man thing. Welcome to the world of Hope Media, a media unit of Christ is the Answer Ministries that is committed to spreading the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ through the transformative power of media. Hope Media is dedicated to utilizing various forms of media to spread the message of hope, love, and redemption to all people around the world. Hope Media consists of various units that work together to achieve this goal. These units include Hope FM. Hope FM is your #1 Christian radio station offering you discussions on current day-to-day issues, inspiring music, life-changing sermons, and news updates, broadcasting 80% in English and 20% in Swahili, with listenership of over 12 million every month. Hope TV. Hope TV.
Connecting with your children, connecting with your child, that is the conversation we are having in studio. Any question, clarity, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. 0708. That is 0708 222 323. I was giving you the FM platform, but this is TV. So get in touch with us, comment, text, Hope TV Kenya across our social media platforms as well. In studio, we are having Paps and breaking it down for us in as far as how to engage with our children as concerned. Let's talk about this one I've also noticed, and at some point I was guilty as charged. I've taken the kids out, right? So we hanging out and everything, but then they're engaged elsewhere. I'm far. Is that really connection, Amma? What is it?
I will say yes and no. First of all, it's connection, because the reason I'm taking them out is so that they can also have their alone time and peer time. I mean, I'm just imagining me wanting to really connect. Ndio mimi kwa bouncing castle, it may deflate. It may deflate
my boy
because
was telling me, the small one.
Yeah.
Daddy ingia. So
yeah, come on.
Yeah. I was tempted though, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah, so umeenda ku deflate bouncing castle hapo, and then there's a whole fiasco in the playground because you really want to connect. So I think there is, first of all, the age-appropriate connection. And sometimes to just imagine, when I take my kids out, what is on my mind is that I'm building their social skills in terms of them to take turns, ask for permission, you know, for them to even connect with other children, show concern, you know, learn teamwork, because sometimes they may end up grouping themselves in the play place. Yeah, so I would actually say sometimes it's okay to sit and watch. Yeah, and then the other time is asking myself, do we always go to a place where it gives me, you know, peace of mind, in quotes, because I've now disposed the children and then I can now just have me. And can we probably blend in, and can we also sometimes look for places where we can do stuff together? For example, there are places where you can do activities together, like archery, like paintball, like, for example, the glow golf in Village Market. Like, there are things we can actually do together and we have fun together. But then there are some things I would just want my children to enjoy because it's their era, you know, but I've never gotten over how much I enjoy the merry-go-round. Maybe it's because it was not there in our time, you know?
Yeah.
Because the merry-go-round, I remember, first of all, when Crystal was young, she was scared, and then I sat on it to hold her.
Yeah.
And then I never stopped. Even when she was older, I would still be there to check on her.
Yeah.
But I probably am enjoying it
You're
more than
enjoying
she
it.
is.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
to just imagine that all these things, they're still memorable moments.
Oh, yeah.
You know, whether I take my kids and pay for them, they can still see me there, cheering them on. I am just in the vicinity. But at the same time, it's okay for me to also have that alone time off. My children are playing and they're doing something fun, and it's
Yeah.
okay for me to read a book. It's okay for me to catch up on a conversation or some calls I needed to make and
Yeah.
just talk with other people and connect with them.
Yeah.
So I think it's just about balance. Yeah.
Yeah, creating memories. For me, that is also big, because when these children, and I remember last week you were saying you have a very short time with them, so that now when the time comes, and it will come eventually, that they are now out of your house and all, there are memories that will linger. They will go with them. You know, we used to, you know, even at our age, we also remember some things we used, and we would say, we used to do this with our siblings, we used to do this with our parents and all. How important is it also now, using now the holidays, because this is the only time that we have with our children to create those memories? Yeah.
So I'll still go back to the notes from last week. When you're creating memories, just factor in, first of all, the age of your child.
Okay.
You know, whatever memories are to a preschooler and a teenager, 2 worlds apart. Yeah, because, for example, when I want to create memories with my teenager, it may be something exclusive or even something I invest in them that I wouldn't be part of. But then I am actually creating a memory for them that they'll remember, Mom actually invested in this. Mom paid for me this event or this place that I went to, and my life was really transformed. You know, so creating memories is in that space. And also, to just factor in their love language as well. Remember love language?
Yes.
Yeah, you create memories probably through words of affirmation. Did I write them letters they can read when they are probably 50?
Yeah.
And they can have my handwriting, something that is handwritten. Creating memories is also taking photos. In terms of, we are always backing up photos on the Google Drive and sharing with them. Even now, we keep on going back to Google Photos and watching photos of when they were younger.
Okay.
They're so happy to see videos. They're like, oh, Mommy really loved me even when I was young. You know, she really used to talk to me gently and kindly. So to have memories in terms of, we have backed up a lot of loads for them to remember how their childhood was. And it's because children don't remember anything that happened to them before they were 5. Okay, they don't have too much recollection.
Yeah.
And of course, even intellectually, they're not able to intellect things that happened before they were 5. So when your children are below 5, take as many photos as you can.
Yeah.
Take as many videos as you can. You know, probably even have a photo album. I remember, like Crystal, when she was 8, James made a photo album for her from when she was born. You know, just like a reel of her life, you know, for her to just see different seasons that she went through, which I felt like she really loves it. She keeps on still going back to it. And then the other thing, when you're thinking about creating memories, budgets. You know, just remember, memories also cost money.
Yes.
There are memories that are also free. They just require time. You know, for example, like taking a walk. Like, for example, you've already have bikes, riding the bikes together,
Yeah.
or probably even watching movies may not cost you much.
Yeah.
But I would say, first of all, budget, and then, of course, also have time, like schedule moments as well. There are still moments that will be so magical and life-transforming that are random.
Yeah.
But it's not everything in life that will be random. Sometimes also having times that we've actually purposed. Like, for example, weekly, monthly, sometimes even annually, like something we'll do to create memories together. And the other thing about memories is just to remember that sometimes I'll actually have to sacrifice something to create memories. I've never forgotten when we went for our parenting class, and the mentor who was leading that session is called John. He told us how one time they had a windfall cash of $500,000, and they really needed a second car.
Yeah.
You know, for their family, because I think they were struggling to use one car. But then they had always been desiring to have a family vacation, like there's a vacation that the children, I mean, they had really been planning and having conversation for more than 5 years. And, you know, they prayed about it, and they were like, we will go for the vacation instead of getting a second car.
A car.
I mean, everybody, especially if you're from my community, the Kikuyus, we are like, wow, where are your priorities in life?
Right?
But you see, for them, they say up to today, their children are grown up, they have left home. That vacation did something to turn around their family. To turn around their family, probably because when they went there, even when you're going for vacation, in terms of creating memories, it's not just the flights and the beach and the food. It's actually what we did together there.
Yeah.
You know? So, for example, when we go for that vacation, we still schedule a bit. in terms of we'll have time together, we'll have alone time, we'll have, for example, like one of the hotels we went to had a kids corner where the kids will just go and bond with other kids, and then me and James will do other things. But at the same time, even when you are there, you are intentional about creating memories. Let me tell you, photos alone and things you post for because you insisted doesn't mean that you create memories. I've actually remembered a lady who once shared how they will go for vacation, and the entire time the husband will just be catching up with other people. You know, you are in the vacation together, but you can feel he's not here. He's here for others. So he will take a photo of us and send to others. He will post and just write lovely things about us, but he's not here. You know, he's totally switched off. And it was very hurtful for her. Like, we've spent over $1 million to go for this vacation to another country, and then you are not even present, you know? And of course, that marriage eventually ended because it was always about we are together, but it's about others. And that was not the only reason, of course. But it's just that aspect of reminding ourselves, creating memories. It is the moments more than probably the captures and the clicks and probably the likes. It is actually, were we really present? Did we really enjoy that time? Was that smile on my child really genuine? The one that I posted on WhatsApp to kutesa. Because unaweza kuwa ukitesa lakini watu wanateseka kwa ground. In terms of you forced them to pause. You forced them to look a certain way for others. But to just ask myself, when I look at back at those photos, were those really memories and moments? Or were they poses? In terms of it was actually something that was, you know, that was not even photoshopped, but it was staged. So I think it's just that aspect of remembering. And of course, creating memories is also reminding myself that, you know, I want to be fully present so that one day when I am not present, like in terms of my children have grown up and left, one day I'm not alive, they will actually remember that I cared, that I loved them. Because the whole essence of everything we do, and of course of our spiritual life, is loving people and loving God. You know, did we even have moments, did we create memories of loving God together? You know, because we can create memories about everything else, but on the spiritual end, we don't have that angle. So for me, I say create moments in terms of your physicality. Even, for example, walk to Karura together, do something to move together. And then, of course, create something also to covenant with God together. For example, even having communions in our houses where we don't just wait to eat the communion in church, you know, so that we are creating spiritual memories in a way. I would actually want to build traditions that my children will love and they will be happy to carry on because they actually felt like it was a quality moment for them. You know, in terms of our devotions, in terms of our Bible studies, to create spiritual moments together. In terms of even going for prayer centers together, you know, going for pilgrims together. You know, this past weekend, I was facilitating a retreat in Resurrection Garden. That place is really beautiful. And I was just thinking like, by the way, that is a place to also take our children, you know, walk through those places. It will take you like, you know, especially if you are going there prayerfully, you can stay there the whole day. Or if you're just walking through, you can probably take an hour, you know, or probably 45 minutes. But to just make sure that we actually have things that we remember we were in God together. And then, of course, also intellectually create memories, reading books together, playing games together. Sometimes we are actually demonizing technology. But do you know to use the PS yourself? You know, the PS5 that you bought, do you know how to use it? So many parents are investing in so many gadgets to their children. I don't know how much it will mean to them if you could actually sit down on the floor or probably on the couches and just take that, you know, console and play with them. Let them teach you something, you know. Let them also feel like they are, hey, by the way, dad kumbe unakuanga fala kwa department zingine, you know. Let them also upgrade you so that you can also be able to see the world from their perspective. You wouldn't know what your children play until you're involved. You even know the latest, probably gaming things that are going on. You know, let them also bring you up to speed. And that is one of the ways of connecting with them by creating memorable moments. You know,
and also showing interest. You know, they will be like, hey, Daddy is interested in my game, you know.
Yeah, and he wants to learn how I do it. I mean, you'll be able to learn a lot of things in terms of even why does this mean a lot to my son? Why does he have this knack to win? How is even this addictive? Maybe you might actually realize when unaenda kucheza usiku. You know, you'll realize that addiction, it actually happen to anyone. You're able to empathize with your child more, and then whatever recommendations you have are actually practical. And so when it comes to the togetherness intellectually, to grow together, you know, take courses together, do stuff together, just have things that you're learning together. And of course, allow them to also teach you what you don't know, because for some reason they're also intelligent in their own way. And then, of course, create memories together, even on making money. I remember during COVID when we had the pop-up market in Pale Windsor.
Yeah, Pale,
Hey, me and James
bypass.
were so there.
Yeah.
And sometimes we'll actually go with the kids on a Sunday.
Yeah.
You know, in the afternoon. They will just go there and sell. And I feel like you could just feel like probably this business knack that Crystal has comes from such opportunities and moments in terms of connect also financially together, get financial opportunities together, do something together. For example, if they're making lemonade to go and sell somewhere, make it with them, go there, probably even be the cashier as they're doing the marketing and everything. And of course, create emotional memories together, cry together, rejoice together. You know, have moments where you just debrief even on your grief, on your disappointments, on your failures in life. Sometimes share age-appropriate things to kids. And of course, also spend time with other people by connecting socially together.
Yeah.
So I just feel like those are how you build memorable moments.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Finally, because time is very, very, very much spent. This is important, and the reason why I say this is because even us, we use these things, and we were used to it as well. In-laws, and by in-laws here I mean the extended family.
Yeah.
And so we go hang out with our cousins, nephews, nieces, and all. How do we navigate, you know, as such? So in terms of dealing with the extended family and conflicts, you know, mkiwa wengi hivi, those parties and get-togethers and everything, the conflicts that arise from such. How do we navigate the same to the point that whatever you have inculcated in your children is not eroded when they go now to such gatherings? Yeah.
First of all, for me, I usually think the intelligence of dealing with extended family is reminding yourself one day you'll be the extended family.
Ish.
You know, you'll keep on going down on priority list as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, one day you'll also be the extended family. One day you'll be the in-law that is not very likable.
Yeah.
You know? So I think it's just reminding yourself that reality. Today, I may probably be feeling like I don't need my family.
Yeah.
One day, I'm also the family that will not be needed.
Wow.
So for me, one of the things, I still go back to Ephesians chapter 6, verse 1. You honor your father and mother that it may go well with you and you may live long life on earth.
Yeah.
And so for me, I feel like when we are approaching it from that place, you know, my extended family stops becoming a negotiable. It becomes a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
For example, like even my husband's grandparents, okay, the grandmother passed away last year, but the grandfather is still alive.
Yeah.
They become non-negotiable in terms of we make time to go and see them, you know? We make time to go and see my mom.
Yeah.
And I know that sometimes we live in a generation of children who want to be left at home gaming and doing their fun stuff, and then they want you to go.
Yeah.
And the moment you're doing that, one day it will also be you who wants to be seen. And you'll rarely see your grandchildren because they'll be left at home, also doing their virtual realities. And so for me, I'm just thinking like everything you're doing, you're actually building a precedence.
Yeah.
And the other thing to also remember about extended families, it's the fact that all extended families, I just feel like they are God's ecosystem to support us, to support our families, to support our children. And it's not like, for example, for anything that they will give us, but for our children to just know that we belong to a bigger thing than ourselves, so that we're not living for ourselves. And of course, the other thing is also to keep on building that foundation of remembering that God, can you imagine even when Jesus was teaching the disciples to pray in Matthew chapter 6, he actually says, our Father who art in heaven, like God really cares about family. And so to remember that even during this holiday, you know, we should probably intentionally check on some people just because we are honoring God by doing this. Yeah, it's good to go and spend time with friends. Probably they are more fun, you are more aligned, they are your class and your status. But there's also something very powerful about going to probably even your family members who don't have even half shopping.
Yeah.
You know, just take some sugar and wheat flour to them.
Yeah.
You know, for us, we've even learned sometimes to take cooked meals, you know, to our families. We just take the meal, go and eat with them.
Yeah.
In terms of, we just tell them, leo msipike. And then you show up and just go and be there with them, with the food. And all those, you're actually teaching your children stuff because children are observing.
Yeah.
Your children can see how we talk to our parents on phone.
Yeah.
They can see how we treat our siblings. They can see how we treat even our aunties and our grandparents.
Yeah.
And they are all learning because one day I will be an auntie, one day I'll be a grandparent. And I just believe it's also the principle of reaping and sowing. And for me, I'm still probably leaving it on the table in terms of whether to leave my children there or not.
Yeah.
For example, even during vacations. I mean, for us, we used to be dropped off as soon as you close school, you'll be picked up when the school is almost opening.
Yeah.
But nowadays, so many dynamics have changed in terms of safe people. I mean, nowadays, even grandfathers are abusing kids, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's just that part of asking myself, those environments, if I have to leave them, are they going to reinforce what we have already been doing?
Yeah.
Because it's possible for your child to go away for 2 weeks, they come back more rebellious.
Yeah.
They come back out of God. They come back with a trauma. You know, so it's just that aspect of asking myself, and of course, making such decisions prayerfully.
Yeah.
You know, to just remember that everything, God is able to lead us to all truth. Because I'm also living paranoia of my children can't be out of my house.
Yeah.
And maybe it will have done them some good to go and get values, things that I've been telling them, someone else tells them and it makes sense to them.
Yeah.
My children may be struggling. They're not able to open up to me. God might use another family member to actually become that point of breakthrough to them. And so it's just a place of discerning, but at the same time, it's a place of being intentional in choosing to honor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Henry Mutavi, very inspiring watching us this morning. Tales of a Home Baker, watching from Uganda. This is so educative. Thank you so very much for that. Then someone is asking, a good conversation, how do I use screen time in a healthy way with my 2 kids? And I think you have answered that as well as we were discussing the same technology because they were saying they don't want their kids to be addicted with the screen time. But I think you have elaborated on how to go about it as well.
Yeah.
And also even as parents, because they're asking how can parents set good example to their kids about using screen time. And we said, do things together.
And of course, also have screen-free places in your house.
Yeah.
For example, to say when you're in the bedroom, we don't have screen. On the dining, we don't have screen.
Yeah.
And also free screen times. Yeah. For all of us.
For all of us.
Yeah.
See, muende huko endeni mkala na wewe.
Wananikuta hapa.
Unanikuta hapa.
Yeah.
Walk the talk.
Yeah, and of course, sometimes explain to your child why you have to be on screen.
Yeah.
Because, for example, like myself, I'm a coach. Sometimes I'm chatting with clients.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I'm on a call with a client, and it's actually a coaching session. Much as my child may be thinking I'm chatting with a friend.
Yeah.
Just learn to explain and bring them up to speed on why you need to be on screen. Because sometimes you're also violating the
rules. No, it reminds me of that. I have a boy who is the last born. He's very, so every time he says, no phones, and he comes, collects them from everyone. So no phones, which is good because you try to teach them some of these habits as well. Perhaps we need to call it a day. Thank you so very much. I know now we are better equipped. Yeah. We are in a better position than we were last week. And so as we are bringing and ushering them back home from the holidays, we will be able to implement. Already I'm having ideas of now what do I do, create memories as well. And so thank you so very much for that. Maybe a parting shot before I allow you to leave. Yeah.
I think a parting shot is still where we started last week, that the years are few, but the days are very long. And for us to just be also, you know, in tune. I just love this aspect of being in tune with the Spirit. There's nothing I can't inquire of the Lord.
Yeah.
You know, even about screen time, about feeling I'm not connecting with my child enough. I just believe the way the Bible says the Holy Spirit is able to lead us to all truth. You know, just keep on leaning in on God. He's wise, He is kind, and He's able to reveal to us places that we can probably add more value and places that I can also probably change how I keep on showing up. But the important thing is to remember that God trusts you.
Yeah.
God believes in you even as a parent.
Yeah.
And God knows that you are up to task. I just feel like God doesn't keep on shaming us and blaming us. Sometimes that is the voice in the society where they feel like Paps is not doing enough for a child.
Yeah.
You'll just hear a critical comment here and there and you'll feel like I need to adjust a whole bit more. Just remember that God believes in you.
Yeah.
And then you are now coming from that belief in everything that you need to do for your child.
Yeah. Wow, awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Paps. I really appreciate maybe how people can connect with you. Yeah.
Reconfidencewithpaps.com. reconfidencewithpaps.com. That is my website. And of course, Reconfidence with Paps on YouTube, you'll be able to get on more content, you know, that we've probably done on all areas. Of course, like I said, our programs are for women. So we have a lot of women programs that are also coming up. And of course, also for children, we have events for children this April. Yeah. And just also, if you want to reach out and probably book a personal coaching session, probably for your child or even for yourself, especially for ladies, 0735-428-808 is our office number, and we'll definitely be able to link up.
All right.
Yeah.
Paps, thank you so very much for your time, for your sacrifice, wisdom as well. Tuko sawa sasa. I feel tuko na place somewhere to start. So we really appreciate you for that. Regards to James.
Yes.
Mwambie ametupotelea for a while, but tutamtafuta very soon. And also to your boys and the girl. Mbarikiwe sana.
Asante.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, JJ.
Thank you so much as well for tuning into the show. You are better equipped now. So let's go and walk the talk now. With the help of God, we will be able to achieve that which he has positioned us to achieve. Thank you so very much for tuning in. God willing, tomorrow morning being a Friday, Maria Makao Mundi will be here with the Beyond the Melody segment. For me, tutapatana kesho 7 to 8 p.m. That is on Men on Record. See you then. From the entire team that has made this production a success, my name is George Gishuru. Kwaheri for now.